coming out tonight. I'm Stan. Don't worry about my last name, nobody's got time for that. And I'm a research fellow at the Center for Water and Spatial Sciences at UWA. I monitor coastal environments with drones and satellites. So when you chuck a sickie and go to the beach, I'm dogging you in. That's true. But when I'm not spying on you, I'm going after my two cats. They think they're people. Or I'm painting Warhammer miniatures. Yes. So yes, I spend my life creeping at people on the beach, looking after my cats and painting plastic toys. I'm a veritable ladies' man. But after my trip to Turkey next year for some hair transplants, I'm going to be the next Henry Cavill. Luckily, my wife's going to pay for that operation after she watched The Witcher on Netflix. But that's not enough. That's enough nerd stuff. Let's talk about something hot and sexy. The science of sea surface temperature. But more specifically, some software we have developed to improve sea surface temperature readings from satellites. Why should you care about sea surface temperatures? Well, tracking them helps us understand when extreme events happen, like marine heat waves. And these can be quite devastating to the coastal environment in Western Australia, affecting underwater forests and coral reefs. Satellites let us put those events on the map. We can't actually do anything about marine heat waves, but those scary maps give you the impression that we're doing something. Also, I think my boss is here, so if you need a sassy scientist, please let me know. But there's lots of different types of satellites. They come in different shapes and they give us lots of different data. You can see there on the left there's the motor satellite, which gives coarse, really ugly looking data. With that satellite, I can't really creep on you on the beach. But the Landsat satellite gives really fine, good-looking imagery, and we think that everyone wants good-looking imagery. But you might ask, why don't you just use the good-looking imagery all the time, you dummy? And that's a good question. Unfortunately, the good-looking imagery comes in very infrequently. It comes in a few times a year. You can see that in the blue. The ugly stuff comes in all the time, and it's very easy to use. And sometimes they come in on the same date, and we can use them to create matching image pairs. So yes, we've developed Tinder for satellites. But at least on my platform, the uggos are getting matches too. But even if we have Tinder, using satellites, it's not that easy because they take images on a sphere, if that's what you want to believe, and then we have to take those spherical images and then we have to flatten them out to put them on those scary maps. And we do that with geometric functions. So if you wanted to be a remote sensing scientist, I hope you paid attention in your geometry classes at school. There's not everything at school was a complete waste of time. But even if you did master these triangles, you still need something on the ground and in the water to actually calibrate what that satellite is actually seeing. And that's where these high-tech gadgets come in. Right there in the middle, the hobo temperature logger. That's not a joke. That's what they're called. And the Fisheries Department has put these all across the West Australian coast to monitor the health of those tasty guys, the Western rock lobster. Most of those lobsters go overseas to the foreign market. So, like most good science, this research was funded by destroying the planet. And I could tell you, despite the destruction of the planet, we need to give the impression that we're doing something good. So I could tell you about the cloud computation or the software and the Tinder process more, but I'm not going to do that because that's boring. I'm going to tell you about the model itself. And that model is the spatiotemporal adaptive reflectance fusion model. Otherwise called StarFM. And I know what you were all thinking. You were thinking I was going to say it's AI. It's not AI. We're bucking trends here. StarFM was actually first proposed in 2007, during much simpler times. In 2007, I was still in high school, failing my geometry class. But the way it works is it looks at the good-looking image, it looks at the ugly-looking image, and it passes a filter, like an Instagram filter basically, over both of them, and then it recreates a synthetic or fake SST image from that product. Then we can use that model to recreate the whole timeline of ugly images and turn them into pretty images. And it turns out our process actually works really good. You can see that our synthetic or fake looking images, give it a sec. Our fake looking synthetic images actually track the hobo quite well. Except during the cold spells, but we don't care about cold spells, we don't care about global warming. And this is what that synthesis looks like. So on the left is that really good, fine-looking image. In the middle is that coarse, ugly-looking image. And on the right is their offspring after their Tinder meetup. And we can, again, like I said, recreate the timeline of the ugly images into a nice, high-resolution, pretty image going all the way back to 2000s. And this is great because if you have any green supporter friends during this political season, you can tell them that, yes, actually scientists do fake all their climate data. But even my fake data, it still shows that things are trending to hotter temperatures. And you can trust me on that because I spent a lot of your tax dollars making a figure that looks like the Joy Division shirt. But who's going to use this software? Who's going to really want these high resolution satellite images? Well, you know, scientists, we like to complain. And we like to complain together in things called workshops. So we had a workshop. And we asked the government agencies and all the scientists from the universities, what spatial resolution of climate data do you require? And we collated and tabulated all the results. And it turns out they all want the ugly, coarse stuff. Which proves that either I'm ahead of my time, or scientists are just Luddites. But either way, we had to change the hypothesis. In fact, scientists, most of them, they want the old, ugly, reliable data instead of the new hotness. And it always starts getting rejected by the scientific community. But at least my cats think I'm cool. Thank you, everyone.